documents that have been leaked by the UK government shows that the British government secretly funded the Reuters news agency in the 1960s and the 1970s as part of an anti-Soviet propaganda program that was linked to British intelligence, concealing the funding using the BBC to make payments. These declassified government documents actually show. That's right, Reuters news agency, a bourgeois media outlet. I mean, of course, nothing that big would be without the bourgeoisie, was literally paid by the UK government to attack the Soviet Union and to outright put falsehoods in order to attack the Soviet Union. Because freedom is something that exists in capitalism, right? I mean, the right to free speech, etc., which we are accused of being against, right? Nothing says that your side is so correct as having to secretly fund media outlets to spread disinformation. Well, the Information Research Department, or the IRD, is an intelligence section created within the Foreign Office in 1948 to covertly produce anti-communist material, led the negotiations with Reuters in 1969. The news agency agreed to establish a news office in the Middle East at the secret request of the IRD, replacing a previous agency called the Regional News Service, which was directly funded and ultimately controlled by the IRD. Prior to it, the Foreign Office was already paying Reuters for Latin American news reporting via a front company, but it did not want to replicate the arrangement for the Middle East. In other words, people already knew that the news controlled by the UK coming out of Latin America was, well, mostly lies. Well, they didn't want to repeat that for the Middle East, so they created another one, more like a front group, to deliberately spread misinformation. And of course, this was in the interests of the British Empire. So, I mean, it's not surprising that this kind of thing would happen, that the narrative is deliberately being controlled by the bourgeoisie in the interests of the capitalist class, even if that's done on an international scale. And of course, it gave preferential coverage to the UK, and as it openly, well, not openly because it had to be leaked for it to be known, but it was intended to propagandize against the Soviet Union and spread falsehoods about it. And this is very important that we understand the context of all this happening at the time during the Cold War, which the UK officially didn't want to be a part of. This was something between the Soviet Union and the United States. And the UK was obviously on the side of the US, but wanted to stay out of it. Well, you know, deliberately lying about one side while propping up another isn't really staying out of it, if you know what I mean. But it's important to understand this history, because we are fed a certain narrative about socialism, the Soviet Union, etc., that isn't true. And then when you find out that these organizations deliberately lied because they got funding from UK intelligence, then you got to start wondering who really was the right side during this conflict. Who was the one actually representing the people? Those pounding up and down the rights of the individual within a bourgeois context, etc., in the West, or the East, which was standing up for the proletariat of the world. But keep this in mind, despite the fact all their lamenting, oh, the Soviet censorship, etc., they were deliberately lying for decades in order to undermine that. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.